in Puerto Rico, and I am the only Scottish Puerto Rican on this planet. And my background is I'm Scottish and I'm Irish, and we kind of have a different kind of sense of humor. So if I crack a joke and you don't know if it's funny or not, just look at the other Michael over there, and if Michael's laughing, then you know it's a funny joke. So my mom was this tiny little lady, and there was my dad and my brother and myself, and the boss of our family was my mom. What she said goes. Now, have you ever, with the English language, you take a word like Google, and with Google it's a search engine. You will look up a word, and you would look it up in Google. Well, Google has arrived when it becomes a verb. You Google it. Well, in our family, the word that was a noun that became a verb was Lester, which was my dad's name. So, with my dad, my mom would have something to do, and she would say, Lester? And my dad would figure it out, whatever it would be. If the garbage was filled and it needed to be empty, my dad would figure it out and empty the garbage. Now, it sounds like my mom was kind of, but actually she wasn't. She was a lot of fun. One of the things she used to do that would get me laughing is she would take her lips, she would go like this, she would take her mouth. And when she would do that, it would just make me laugh so hard. And then what she would do after she'd do that is she'd come over and she'd start to tickle me. And I'd laugh that much harder. And to get away from her, I'd run around the house. She'd chase after me. Now, I'm probably at that time, if I'm not 6 feet, I'm close to it. And what she would do is she would catch up to me, and she would start tickling me, and she'd be on top of me, tickling me, and she would be doing that. They'd be trying to do that. And I'd be laughing so hard I couldn't stop. And there wasn't a thing I could do about it. Here was this little tiny woman that was 100 pounds, and I couldn't do anything about it. But she was the boss. And one of the things that she had done was whenever we would go driving, my dad would be driving, my mom would be on the passenger side, and I would always be in the back seat. And say 300 yards down the road, we're going 30 miles an hour, the light's turning red. My mom would just say, Lester, and that meant, of course, to slow down. And my dad would dutifully slow down. And sometimes the verb didn't work, and so she would have to use an adverb. Well, the adverb was Lester, another Lester there. And then sometimes she could be reading the paper. Lester, my dad would know it's time to slow down. One time, the verb didn't work, the adverb didn't work, and she said, didn't I tell you to slow down? Opened the door, and then she got over and she started driving. I rolled down the window, Dad, I'll come back and I'll pick you up. So that was the only time that happened. So my mom and my dad, they both had a real good sense of humor. And what happened was one time I got married, and we got married in the house.